Hello, this is Mr. Gamal Hassan, and in today's video we're gonna get to know more about Teacher's Improvement Plan prepared by me, Mr. Gamal Hassan. To the first slide. As you can see here, every single slide is divided into 3 columns. The first one is for areas for improvement, the second one is for the objectives, and the last and third one is for strategies and action steps that must be undertaken and done by the teachers so he or she can fulfill the action plan. So the first area for improvement here is classroom management, and every one of us knows the importance of classroom management. The objectives, here we have just one objective. The objective is to improve classroom management skills in order to create a suitable environment for learning. The strategies are to attend workshops or training sessions on effective classroom management techniques. The second action is to implement a behavior management system with clear expectations and consistent consequences for not following the classroom rules. And finally, utilize positive reinforcement strategies to encourage desired behavior or behaviors. To the second slide, and here we have another area which is differentiation, or we can call it as differentiated instruction. So to enhance differentiation strategies to meet the diverse needs of all students, because we know that there are so many different styles of learners, so we can differentiate our content so we can meet the needs and interests of all our students. The strategies are to explore various instructional approaches such as flexible grouping in the class and assignments to address different learning styles of students, incorporate technology tools and resources to provide personalized learning opportunities for students, collaborate with colleagues to share best practices and resources for differentiation, and finally support each other's learning by providing appropriate content and developing skills which address individual learning differences of the students. The third slide, the area here is lesson planning, and lesson planning is great and very important and vital for any teacher to control and have a good classroom management. If the teacher plans his or her content in a good way, he or she can fulfill and can manage the class effectively, so every student can be involved and already engaged in the process. So the objectives are to prepare a good lesson plan that incorporates ongoing assessment to determine whether students are making progress as expected, to cater for students' diversity and learning styles. This is exactly what we mentioned in the previous slide, to foster students' autonomy and help them construct knowledge of themselves. Strategies and action steps. A lesson plan is a detailed description of what students need to learn. So it is a must for the lesson plan to contain how the process can be done, how it will be done, what are the specific goals of every single class or every single lesson, and how to assess those goals, how to evaluate whether these goals are met and achieved or not, and to create smart learning objectives. And SMART here stands for something else, and it's your task to search it on the internet up and you can find what does this acronym stand for. To the next slide. The area here is assessment and feedback. Assessment is very important for any teacher and the student and parent as well. So the objectives to enhance the concept that the purpose of giving and receiving feedback enhances both teachers' efficacy and student learning as well. The strategies are applying formative and summative assessment techniques, implement a variety of assessment tools such as rubrics, self-assessments, and peer evaluations, provide timely and specific feedback to students, describe the course of action planned to improve the students' learning process, And for feedback to be actually useful and efficient, it needs to be clear on 3 aspects, and these are the 3 aspects. Pinpoint the rights and wrongs and the reasons why. Determine the areas of improvement and explain why. And provide specific detailed feedback, because vague statements are not helpful and do not prompt students to do better. Students need to know exactly what needs improvement in order to further develop their learning. Okay, here we have a task. The task is to compare and contrast formative assessments and summative assessment. So to compare and to contrast any 2 items is to mention the similarities and the differences between them. So here the task is to mention the similarities and the differences between formative assessment and summative assessment. This is your task to navigate the internet for more information about, and if you already know, you can just refresh your knowledge about this. To the next slide. The area for this slide is collaboration with colleagues. The objectives are to share the best practices and expertise, to conduct peer observation, to conduct student teaching, to conduct teacher-student interaction effectively, to reflect on the teaching methods of the teacher. Reflect on means to evaluate them all the time, to decide whether they work properly or not. The strategies are share each other's experiences, debate about controversial issues, help each other solve problems, give and receive support, advice and guidance on classroom management, help each other overcome weaknesses and benefit from each other's strengths, use each other's experiences to take effective decisions about the learning process. You must know that teachers should learn how to challenge themselves by having or trying new methods and new ideas in the classroom and decide whether they successful or not. The next slide here is areas for improvement. The teacher must be consistent, to stick to the same routine from the very beginning of the year until the end, so the students get familiar to your routine and they can just know what is expected from them to be done. So the area is to be consistent, and the objectives, one objective here, not to lower your standards or relax about them. So the teacher is not supposed to lower his expectations, his standards of what is expected of the students or relax about them. So the strategies are set expectations and never lower them or relax your standards. The teacher is not supposed to accept work that is below what is expected of the students. Here the area is foster student success and well-being, to discover areas of expertise and enhance them in every single student in front of you. So the teacher must get to know the personalities, the preferences, the style of every single student in his or her class. And the second objective here is to improve students' self-esteem, confidence, and motivation. The strategies: every student has an area of expertise. It may be beyond of the subject or the course you're teaching, but it is your mission, your task to discover and to get to know the area of expertise, of excellence of every single student, so you can enhance his or her self-esteem. So every student has an area of expertise. The teacher's task is to enhance them. M here refers to the areas of expertise. So verbally praise students' good academic and behavior. Praise because praise affects their self-esteem, confidence, and motivation, which are closely linked to effective learning and accomplishment in class. To the next slide here, the area is past mistakes. The objective is to avoid past mistakes. Strategies or steps: thinking honestly about the ways events were handled in the past, and comparing it to how you would handle them now is a very practical way for educators to realize if their teaching skills have evolved positively. And this is exactly what we discussed before about to reflect on your teaching style and to avoid your past mistakes. Taking time to analyze past mistakes helps to identify areas of growth and guide future decision making, which will directly have an impact on the adequate progress of the teaching learning process. So avoiding past mistakes, evaluating one's performance is great and very important for the improvement. The area here is strengths. To boost teacher's self-esteem, if the teacher knows his points or areas of strengths, this would enhance his or her self-esteem and motivate him to keep on working and give the best of themselves. One strategy here, teachers should recognize their strengths and then capitalize on them and work and try to enhance them and to show them to themselves before anyone else and to their students, to their administrators, so they can just be confident about their performance. The area here is to achieve the best usage of materials and resources available in class. So the objective is to make the best of the teaching materials and resources available. Educators should reflect on the learning materials and resources provided to facilitate students' learning process. Teaching materials and resources should be updated, relevant, and updated to students' learning styles. Adapted, So teaching materials and resources should be updated, relevant, and adapted, suitable to students' learning styles. So the teacher must have variety of teaching resources and materials in the class. Areas for improvement. Here we have two areas. Yes, here there are two different types. This is not for the teacher, this is for the administrators in schools or at schools. So there are two different types of class visits or class observations. The first one is the formal one, and this is a pre-arranged. The teacher must be aware of the time one of the administrators at the school will pay a visit to his or her class. The other one is the informal one, and this is unannounced visit. So here we have two kinds of visits. One, which is formal, the teacher knows and aware of the time there will be a visit, and the other one is the informal one, which is in which the teacher doesn't know or is not informed about the time of the visit. And the objective of this or these two visits is to conduct observations of the teacher and provide feedback about his or her performance. The strategies of the administrators here, because the administrators are to pay a visit or the visits here to the teacher, and the strategies that will be undertaken by the administrators here, like the academic manager or the HOD of the subject, is to debrief with the teacher after the class visit. So there must be a brief meeting after every single visit, whether to be a formal or informal one, and also to build on the successes of the teacher as the action. So the visitor here is supposed to just enhance and show the successes or the good points or the points of strength in the teacher's performance in the visit, and also refer to the teacher's appropriate resources, individuals. When the teacher requests information about or support beyond the scope of the action plan, so refer to the teacher to appropriate resources, because individuals, I think that this is of point. Okay, when the teacher requests information and support beyond the scope of the action, so the teacher must be supplied with the evaluation of the visitor after the class visit, and in this report, there must be some detailed points about the good aspects and the areas of improvement or for improvement in his performance. The next slide is about something very important here. It is CPD, which stands for Continuous Professional Development, because this is an ongoing process. The objective is to get engaged in CPD, which is continuous professional development opportunities offered by your school or district. The strategy or the step that must be done by the teacher is to attend workshops, conferences, and training sessions to stay updated on the latest teaching techniques, curriculum changes, and educational researches. Here, the area is to set measurable goals. You must be specific about your goals. The objective is to establish clear, specific, and achievable goals for yourself as a teacher. To monitor your progress towards these goals and make necessary adjustments and changes and improvements along the way. So this is also a progress that must continue all the time, must be updated and adjusted all the time and improved all the time. Okay, the next slide is for reflect and conduct self-evaluation. Seek feedback from other teachers, from colleagues. Collaborate with your colleagues so you can improve your performance as a teacher. The objectives are to identify areas where improvement is needed and develop strategies to address them. To give constructive feedback to help identify blind spots and areas for improvement. So here, this is for the teacher whenever he seeks any advice or any feedback from any other colleague, and this is for the teacher whenever he or she would give a piece of advice about the performance of his or her colleagues. So the strategies are regularly take time to reflect on your teaching practices, lesson plans, and classroom management techniques. So you must update your performance all the time in terms of teaching practices, lesson plans, and classroom management techniques. Engage in professional learning communities and discuss best practices to enhance your teaching abilities. Ask for feedback, and this is not bad for any teacher. Ask for feedback from your colleagues, administrators, and even students, and this is not bad for sure. Collaborate with other educators to share ideas, strategies, and resources with you, because all the class or the personnel at school must help each other to enhance the level of their performance, all of them, to the benefit of the students. Utilize technology or use technology properly. Here, the objective is to incorporate technology in teaching. Incorporate technology in your teaching to enhance student engagement and learning outcomes, which is very important because many students now, all students now are very familiar with the means of technology, so we need to enhance these and to just incorporate them in the teaching process. Explore online resources, educational apps, and digital tools that can support your teaching methods. The area here is to stay organized and manage time effectively. Time management is crucial for any teacher to manage time effectively. Establish a system to organize lesson plans, grading, and paperwork so you can manage your work properly. Manage your time efficiently by dedicating time or assigning some time for planning and preparation, because some teacher may get into the class without preparing, and this is totally not accepted. Okay, areas for improvement here is to connect with students, The objectives are to build positive relationships with the students. Strategies and action steps. Build positive relationships with your students by showing interest in their well-being, and progress. There must be a positive relationship between the teacher and his or her students, which is very important for the learning process. It is a must for the teacher to understand students' individual needs and adjust teaching strategies accordingly to maximize their learning potential. The learning potential of the students must be met by having differentiation in strategies and resources and teaching material in a lesson plan or in a lesson in a class that can be undertaken or done or conducted in a class. Here we have some areas. Stay updated with the research and educational methods. Subscribe, for example, to educational journals, follow reliable blogs, and join professional organizations to stay connected with the field. The objectives is to demonstrate an understanding of the curriculum, subject content. The second objective is to meet the needs of students by providing relevant learning experiences. One strategy here, keep yourself informed about the latest research findings, educational trends, and evidence-based teaching. It is a must for the teacher to be updated. If the teacher is not updated, you're gonna find, or he or she would find themselves lagging behind the other teachers. Every day there are some updates and some new methods and the teaching approaches, and the teacher must be aware of them by subscribing to some journals or by navigating the internet for the latest trends in education. Here, instructional planning. The objective is to plan using school curricula and standards. The teacher plans using school standards, strategies, resources, and data to address the differentiated needs of the students. So the teacher must use all what is available for him or her in the school so he or she can meet the needs of the differentiated or the different learning styles and interests of the students. Now we're going to talk about instructional strategies. To engage students in active learning, which is very important, that the students must be active, must be the doers, your class must be student-centered one. So the teacher promotes student learning by using research-based instructional strategies relevant to the content to engage students in active learning and to facilitate the students' acquisition of key knowledge and skills, which is very important. It is very important for the teacher to keep the students involved and engaged in the content so they can get the benefit of the class, and so to facilitate classroom management. If the students are engaged, are involved, are busy all the time by some activities all the time, this can facilitate classroom management and you're gonna find your classes move smoothly. And there must also be good relationship between the teacher and the students so he or she can engage them effectively in the content. Okay, assessment strategies and usage. The usage of assessment, which is very important factor of the teaching process, of the process of teaching and learning. The objective here is to measure student progress, to just evaluate your student progress. The teacher systematically chooses a variety of diagnostic, formative, and summative assessment strategies and instruments that are valid, reliable, and appropriate for students. The teacher systematically gathers, analyzes, and uses relevant data to measure students' progress, to inform instructional content and delivery methods, and to provide timely and constructive, this is very important, feedback to both students and parents. So it is a must for the teacher to give feedback, to assess the performance of the students so he or she can give feedback to the students and to their parents so they can improve their level. Positive learning environment. Positive learning environment is very important. The objectives here, one objective, to provide a well-managed and safe environment. The students must be safe, must feel that they are safe in a classroom. So the teacher provides a well-managed, safe, and orderly environment that is conducive to learning and encourages respect for all. Bullying is not allowed, and the student himself or the students must feel free and safe to express their ideas and to answer without being afraid of the feedback of the teacher or the colleagues if their answers are not correct. This is very important. Okay? The class academic environment. The objectives: to create a student-centered academic environment. Strategies and action steps. The teacher creates a student-centered academic environment in which teaching and learning occur at high levels and students are self-directed, self-motivated learners. So, we must, as teachers, reduce the TTT, which stands for the teacher talking time, and increase STT, students talking time, and to enhance the performance of the students by making them do most of the work in a class, which is very important for their academic level eventually. Okay. Professionalism. To participate in professional growth opportunities. The teacher exhibits a commitment to professional ethics and the school's mission, participates in professional growth opportunities to support student learning and contributes to the profession, which is very important. Communication. To communicate effectively with students, parents, or guardians, school personnel, and other stakeholders. It is very important for the teacher to have good communication skills, to know how to communicate, to deliver his feedback or assessment to the parents, to the students, to the guardians, to the school personnel, to his leaders in the school. These are very important skills that must be acquired by every teacher. The teacher communicates effectively with students, parents, or guardians, school personnel, and other stakeholders in ways that enhance student learning. The teacher follows the school's code of conduct and communicates well with parents, students, and colleagues. Manage behavior effectively to ensure a good and safe learning environment. The objective is to manage behavior effectively, which is very important. It is very important for the teacher to enhance and improve the behavior of the students in the class. The strategies to achieve that are: the teacher has clear rules. Having clear rules and clear consequences for not following the rules is very important for that. So the teacher has clear rules and routines for behavior in classroom in line with school's behavior policy. Peer lesson observation arranged to demonstrate good practice. And SET, and this is an acronym, and I want you to navigate the internet for what this abbreviation or acronym stands for. And SET, training on behavior. This is very important for the teacher to navigate the internet and get to know about the latest ways by psychologists and educators of how to manage the behavior of misbehavior students, or the students like hyperactive students, the students who are always violate or not follow the classroom rules. It is a must for the teacher to be updated and to work very hard to enhance his knowledge about this. Like, for example, you can attend external training on behavior management techniques. Here, there is a project or a task. As I discussed before, there are two abbreviations or acronyms in this presentation. They are SMART and SET. Your task is to search them up to know what they stand for. Finally, اللهم انصر اخواننا في فلسطين, and best regards from me, Mr. Gamal. Thanks a million for your listening to the video. Please give me feedback about the video in the comments box. Thank you and wishing you a fruitful year. Assalamu alaikum.